Welcome back, Season 2, Episode 1. My name is Randy. I'm with Influence Media, along with top producer Landon Passley, Matt Rosenfeld, managing broker here at NAV Real Estate. As topic of being a top producer, how you get to that point, just give me, Landon, we'll start with you.
Okay.
Give me, if you wanted to be a top producer, what's your day-to-day look like? Your non-negotiables, what are some of the little things you may have implemented day-to-day to, I guess, try to push towards being a top producer?
That's a good question.
We love it.
I would say first and foremost, I believe that being just a high producer or just a high level in real estate or at a high level just in life, it starts with just understanding that what you do is not actually who you are. So being a top performer in real estate and doing a lot of deals, that's what I do, but it's not really who I am. I am a husband, I'm a father, I am a friend and a member of my community, and all those things are important as well. And I think that to do well in life or to do well in real estate, you need to be very well-rounded in other aspects of your life as well.
You have to be a good person.
And you don't have to be a good person. I mean, some people can get lucky, but it's not sustainable.
For sure.
So if your values are right, if you have good character, if you have a great work ethic, and you have humility, and you pursue the things that you want, and you relentlessly work, you can be a top performer in any service, in any industry, and just throughout your life. I think it just transitions really well, and it proves. And when your work is good, you normally have other aspects of your life that you're doing well in.
For sure.
Or you're the opposite. I guess some people can focus way too heavily on one thing, and everything else can lack. But if you want to sustain this, you have to be pretty well-rounded.
Yeah.
So some non-negotiables are for me, I guess, would be consistency throughout multiple aspects of the business, including follow-up and relationship building, and that just being incredibly consistent with those things. And not when you're on vacation, you still have to do it.
For sure.
This is a 24-hour, 7 days a week thing. When a lot of people aren't working, you still have to do it. If you want to perform, it's not a part-time thing; it's a full-time thing. So I guess that is the main non-negotiable is be incredibly consistent.
For sure. A little later on, we're going to talk about like mistakes. I guess younger or more inexperienced realtors may make when trying to become a top producer. In terms of just your day-to-day, maybe even just the logistics of like, you're waking up and what business, I guess, techniques or processes you have. What are some of the non-negotiables? What does that look like? Just if someone was getting into real estate, hey, you got to make sure you do this, that, or like things that have made you successful.
So you need to build a pipeline, and you need to follow up with that pipeline in order to convert. Those are the non-negotiables. How you do that is through a CRM that can help manage do some like task management. So you're not just focused on what do I do, but it kind of gives you a platform or a program on what to do, and then you just have to carry out all those daily activities. So you have to work on the business in order to be able to get showings and get closings. And working on the business looks like phone calls, it looks like text messages, it looks like sphere networking, it looks like posting on social media, and there's a lot of different things you can do, but if you only do them once a month, it doesn't work. So every single day you need to have dedicated time blocks for follow-up and for working on your business, so that can transition to you being able to work in your business, meaning showings, listing appointments, closings, and actually doing deals and making money.
Yeah, that goes back to your first point of like consistency, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, Matt, what about you? Obviously your role has changed, becoming transitioning more into the managing broker side. When you were younger, when you were trying to become a top producing agent, what are some of your non-negotiables that kind of got you there?
Yeah, and this kind of goes off what Landon was saying too, of like, I'm a big fan of like plan for success or plan for failure. And what that really means is like, when you're building your business and you're doing the thing, do you have the mindset that this full-time workload is just going to fall into your lap, or do you reverse engineer the process, time manage correctly, and basically build out your schedule as if you're already doing the business you're expecting to get So then it's almost an inevitability as opposed to like waiting and seeing. And I think back to your question of like what's a common mistake is I think a common mistake people make really with real estate and other just professions in general is they're expecting the success to come to them rather than like that might work for somebody who's been in the industry for 10 plus years, right? But like starting out, like you've got to drive that business. And basically like if you think about a traditional job, you're working 40 hours a week, you're in the office 40 hours a week, you're going to find 40 hours a week worth of stuff to do. Where too easily as a real estate agent, like if you don't have showings and you don't have appointments with clients, you just don't work. So it's like, what makes you think you're going to build this 40-hour a week schedule that you're looking for and be a full-time agent if you're not building in 40 hours a week worth of productive things to do, right? Yeah.
No, I agree. Let's transition into the mistake side of it, because I've been working with you guys a long time. I've heard a lot of different time frames. Matt has obviously been in for, I don't even know, 10, 15 years. Landon, I don't know, what have you been in, like
almost 7.
Almost 7 years. So again, that's 2 different time frames where it like has gone from being super easy to selling homes and super hard, you know, where like it's deals are falling in your laps and you guys can't find a deal at all. So I guess again, and I feel like another theme is people get into this for the money and the freedom and all those things. I think kind of like to Matt's point, what like that can come if you've been in the industry for like 10 plus years, but like early on, I feel like these agents or I guess these younger people are becoming agents thinking they can just live that lifestyle. So I guess Landon, speak on a mistake, you know, that if you've been an agent for a year or less and you're trying to take that next step to become a top producer, what mistakes some people have made, you've made, you see make.
Yeah. First, I think it's important to understand that this industry is flooded with people who have been, or just people who have been promised a career that can just give you high payouts with lower amounts of work, or it's kind of saturated with others who have used this as a fallback from other sales careers, or even just people who want to work part-time and know that you can get big payouts in real estate. So first, we have saturation with people in the market that aren't top producer quality.
For sure.
Or they could be that quality, but they're not. That's not the reason they got into real estate.
Well, if you got into real estate because of the expectation it was going to be easy, you're already failed.
You're 5 steps
before
behind.
you've even started, right?
Exactly, and I think that we have a lot of that in the industry right now because it was easier to sell a house several years ago than it is right now. So I think people got the wrong idea about real estate, jumped into it, another really important thing to know about real estate is the barrier to entry is fairly low, in my opinion. You can be 18 years old with no college degree and get your real estate license like I did. You know, you don't have to go through a ton of schooling. You don't have to have a 4-year degree. You don't have to do some things that you have to do for other jobs, or even go to like a vocation school or something like that. It's really just do an online course and work on getting your license, and it's not that hard. So that being said, there can be a lot of individuals who just jump in because it seems easy. So knowing that kind of helps frame the question of what mistakes can you avoid. I would say that's the first thing you need to avoid if you're getting into real estate and want to be a top producer, is thinking you can do this part-time, or thinking it can be easy, or just having expectations.
Underestimating the job kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Underestimating the amount of work and consistency that this takes. So that's number one. Second, in my opinion, one of the things people miss just goes right over their head. They don't even think about it, and it could save them a lot of time and make them a lot more money, is not being in flow or in connection with a mentor. And when I say a mentor, I don't mean an amazing real estate agent who has been doing this for 30 years, who has a book of business and has all the tools they need to be successful. I mean getting in right behind somebody who got in right before you, that is making money right now in this competitive market, because the market right now is totally different than it was a long time ago. And if you already have been in the industry for a long time, you can live off of your referrals. So new agents need to be just turn on the faucet and drink from the water hose of other agents who maybe they haven't been in it for a long time, but are very successful and working really hard in this and know what to do in this market right now.
Yeah, they can actually relate to the things that you're going to also be seeing today.
Yep. You need to do what others are doing that's working, and not try to reinvent the wheel unless you're just a genius and you know how to come up with things that work. Which some people are like that and can come up with something, run with it, make a ton of money doing it. But people like me just need to learn what works and follow in that path and do it.
But the secret sauce is the work ethic, though, right? Like you could be a genius and know exactly what to do, but without the implementation, like I would rather be a hard worker than a genius all day, every day, because you can outwork a genius, right?
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point, because you'll find your way of doing the thing, but like having that initial guidance, I think, is huge. Taking bits and pieces from everyone you kind of encounter and turning it into your own process.
Well, I think what you learn too, whenever you surround yourself with people who are winning today, right, is that like they're not winning all the time. Like I think what ends up happening is when we see these highlight reels on the internet and all this stuff, we forget all the challenges and failures they had to do to get there. So we underestimate what it took. Whereas what always humbles me and is nice is like when I surround myself with other people, it's like they're talking about all the things they had to overcome and the things that went wrong and the things nobody sees, which I think helps in your own life persevere through the stuff that you maybe think is just you or an individualized thing. It's like, no, everybody's going through this kind of simultaneously.
Yeah, and I am too. Just as you know, we can say that I am a top producer, but I still go through time periods that are difficult. Overall, yes, I'm a top producer. Sell $20 to $30 million a year. That's great in this time period of the market. That's great, but I can still have hard times, and it doesn't mean that I'm not a top producer. Yeah, because the first quarter of this year was one of my worst quarters. Was one of my worst few months in real estate that I've had. This quarter is one of the best quarters I've ever had. So it can fluctuate. The money can fluctuate, but money follows momentum. And if you are doing the same things that have provided you success, and you are relentlessly pursuing and continuously sitting in the grind, even when it's not glamorous, and doing the right work, which I'm sure we're going to get into what the right work is in a minute. But if you're doing those things, it'll all come to fruition just like it should. You can't stop.
Well, and that wraps into if you were motivated by this was easy, or I was just going to make a ton of money really quick, putting your head down and doing all that work you need to do to endure, you're just not going to do. Yeah. So again, I think it speaks to like you're in it for the right reasons, because when you do hit those challenging times, you just hunker down and basically like lean into it rather than leaning out, which is what a lot of the industry is doing right now.
For sure. Yeah, you don't just chase money in this industry. You have to chase mastery and skill sets and just making your process perfect over time.
For sure. I think I'm a perfect example, or I guess perfect person to ask, because like I've dabbled in potentially becoming a real estate agent. I've definitely thought about it multiple times, and I don't think, I guess I wouldn't say I would think it's going to be easy, but when I think of the job, I think it would be like fun. Like I think I would like it. I love talking to people, meeting people. I love numbers. I love putting together plans. I love strategy, all those things. I actually enjoy. So I guess it's different than being easy, but if you are, I guess, enjoying what you're doing, it kind of makes your life easier.
Don't get me wrong. Real estate is very fun.
Yeah.
I've been serious right now, but real estate's a lot of fun.
For sure.
You get to not have the same office every day. You get to kind of broaden your horizons and get to know your city and enjoy looking at beautiful homes and not so beautiful homes.
Sure.
And it's fun to meet a lot of different people. And sometimes you can write a contract from the beach on vacation.
Yeah, there's flexibility.
When your client texts you and says, "Hey, we actually do want that house," you're like, "Well, I'm out of town, but I'm working for you." And they might not even realize that you're out of town because you're always there.
Yeah, I think it speaks to like
it's fun.
Yeah, I think it's like there's just different hard, right? Like hard is it can just be different. It can still be like it's fun, or it's just something I like doing, but that doesn't mean it's not hard work. You still have to
choose
work.
the hard. Do you want
exactly.
the hard?
Who said that? Was that like a David Goggins thing?
Yeah.
David Goggins?
You choose your hard.
Choose your
Do
hard.
you want the problems of a successful agent, or do you want the problems of a struggling agent? Right.
There's
Both
gonna
have
be
problems.
Success
Which set of
is hard.
problems?
Failure's hard.
Right.
Choose your hard.
Yep.
Marriage is hard. Divorce is hard.
Yep.
Choose your hard.
Let's go for a run.
No.
Awesome.
Go for
okay,
a lift
cool.
with one hand.
I want to transition a little bit. Let's. Okay, I want to transition. Let's talk about personal brand, right? So we talked about kind of, as a new agent, things to avoid. Some of your guys' things that you've implemented to try to become a top producer. Now let's talk about your personal brand, building it. What goes into that? What are some of the most important parts of your personal brands? Again, we have a lot of experience on the couch right now, so there's a lot of different time frames you guys have done real estate in. How has that evolved, and what have you guys kind of implemented? And Matt, we'll start with you. What do you think goes into personal brand?
A lot.
Yeah,
but
for
I think the first thing that comes to my mind is I think really personal brand is how somebody feels when they interact with either you or your business or your social media or whatever it may be, and it's how that person experiences you and your brand, right? So I'm losing my train of thought.
I think take it back to when you first started, when you were more on the real estate agent side. What was your brand with, maybe it wasn't as much social media and Instagram and TikTok, it was what?
So I think the difference though is personal, those are the things you're doing to aid in your personal brand, but what your personal brand is how you make people feel, right? And whenever you're an active real estate agent, it's how you treat your clients, it's your work ethic, it's how you live your life, and are you seen as a good, ethical, moral person with high integrity, right? It's all those things where then, again, I don't think personal brand works where it's somebody sees Landon's social media post and thinks, oh, I want to buy a house from him, click. Maybe that happens every once in a while, but what it really is that's the subtle reminder to his friends and family that he's still practicing real estate. So then when his friends and family are in a conversation with their friends and family about real estate, it's a no. I've got this guy named Landon. He's awesome. You can't use anyone else. And no amount of commercials or marketing or social media ever is going to invoke that feeling.
No, I agree with that. For sure. I think the Instagrams and the TikToks and any kind of social media more so just gives you another opportunity to promote yourself and promote your brand. But at the end of the day, your brand is who you are and who you kind of show to clients. And when I just feel maybe Matt earlier on, I feel it was probably just based more on word of mouth, or what did you do to get your brand out there to what was, instead of Instagram or whatever these days, how are you promoting your brand?
You're calling him out right now because he doesn't do promotions, okay? People come to him.
How did you market yourself when you switched over as an agent? Word of mouth out.
Paid for it.
That.
And that's I think that's one incredible vehicle for building the personal brand, is to pay for it.
For sure. Is that paying for leads, right? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, and that's
and then that grows from there. It's like a wildfire that spreads whenever you inject your business with hundreds of people, and then you actually do the right things. It just keeps expanding.
I never resonated too much, and I still don't, with the social media branding and that kind of stuff, where I guess to answer that question, Landon kind of triggered this, is I always focused on I just want to practice real estate and get reps, and I basically want to get 10 years of experience in 2 years of experience. So then that's my brand, is that I'm the guy that knows how to do this and is the most competent person, not the guy that shouts it from the rooftop on social media. So I guess that's what I really focused on, is through leads. I just really put my head down and focused on if I can just be the best real estate agent, I'm going to attract the people who want to do business with me, which is ultimately our goals, right? It's I just want to do business with people who want to do business with me at the end of the day. And to do that, you've got to be a professional. And I think we've all seen this through social media. It's like everybody's branding themselves as this influential person and all this stuff, but like it's hard to differentiate like who actually has the track record of success and who's just got these nice videos that look good, but they don't actually know what they're talking about.
I think you made a good point right there where, and again, I think this is what I'm trying to get to and I guess pull out of you is back in the day, it more so relied on the face-to-face interaction. You're driving and you're meeting someone. You're actually like getting a chance to, because I guess from this conversation, what I've gathered from personal brand is literally just like how you can depict yourself in front of a person, you know. And with social media, it's so hard to, I guess, decipher with this person on the screen if they're real, if they're honest, if they're anything. And when you can utilize social media and you're watching someone that gives you a feeling of trust, and I think that's when you kind of crack the code. When someone's watching you as a random person and it's like, this guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about, I think this guy could help me, I'm gonna follow him, I'm gonna learn from him, I'm gonna trust his advice, all these things. You know, Matt, you bring up a ton of people that you see on like Instagram and everywhere. It's like, how did those people build that credibility, right? Like there are people that just anyone will trust anything they say because they have established that presence.
Well, and I think the big difference with at least the people I follow that are legitimate and not is like they're doing what they're talking about. Like you look at Gary Vee, like he's running his own marketing business as he's giving you marketing advice.
Literally.
Grant Cardone has like a real estate portfolio as he's giving you real estate. So it's not just this theoretical knowledge. It's like he's doing what he's saying he's doing, rather than theory, right?
I think those are perfect examples of like brand, like building your brand. Like those people are Gary Vee. Like I don't even know what he does, but I know his name. It's the brand, like his brand. You know, and to me, he's a guy that speaks on social media. Like that's his, but that's how far his reach is. It's just random people know that name for no reason.
Yeah.
And that's, again, like brand is crazy.
Your personal brand is the way people feel. It's the identity, the perception of you based on your values, your communication, and your consistency in person and online. So personal brand can be built completely online. You can have a personal brand that's just all over the nation. People know who you are that have never seen you in person. Or you can have the complete opposite. You can have a personal brand that's built around your community of people that really know you and really connect with you, and just it's your reputation. It's your overall reputation for your brand. And
that's such an interesting thing to say, right? Because the result of those two things is so different, right? Like the one who's building a personal brand to broadcast nationally, in that example, like that person is getting a lot of like strangers, and people aren't really advocating for their business necessarily. Whereas the other example of like building a personal brand through your community, you are getting relationships coming into your business.
Yeah, and for me,
which may be less impact, but I would think again like that's kind of the dream,
could be less.
Right? It's like I would love to work with just a bunch of people that know me and like me and trust me.
Yeah, me too. And if I had the option to just do one versus the other, it would be community, personal brand, just meet people, have good relationships, and your business explodes. Unfortunately, it's not the reality for most people in the industry right now. You can't do that because the industry is so saturated. If we didn't have so many realtors, if we didn't have so many people that only do a few deals a year that are kind of taking deals from all of the other people who do it full time, and the way they take them is just through knowing them, through knowing somebody, really personal connection, friends, family. Those people account for some of the deals that kind of get taken from the people that are just only doing real estate. It's a small percentage, but I can't build my business just on that community because of the day and age we live in. I think it really sucks, but it happens a lot where somebody who is a friend of yours or an acquaintance or even family sometimes. There might be more than one realtor in the family. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it happens to me all the time. A friend who, because I told you earlier, or because of the way that I live my life, I don't make my entire life about real estate.
Yep.
So a lot of my friendships we don't talk about real estate. I ask questions about them, and I try to build connection with them and support their business however I can and support them however I can. Not everybody feels the same way and reciprocates that. So some people will just use a different realtor and not even think that it would hurt your feelings or that it would hurt your personal brand or whatever. Sure. So because I can't just rely on my sphere only, because they might just use their friend's cousin or their second cousin or somebody, like they might just use somebody random who they don't even know on a daily basis, but was referred to them by a family member. They may just use them for real estate because I didn't shove it down their throats that I want to be their realtor. Yep. And just as many times as that does happen to me, it happens the opposite where they'll work with me. Anyway, all I'm saying is I can't just focus on community for personal brand. I also do focus on online presence.
For sure.
Whether that's email marketing, newsletters, or actually posting to social media, liking and commenting on other people's other previous clients' posts, and just staying top of mind there. It's important, and making quality content is important. So yeah, and even if you don't get 20 clients a year from social media, you can at least use it as a tool to stay in flow with all of your past clients and future clients, and follow them, connect with them.
Yep.
So you can turn that one deal you had with them into 3.
That's totally
because they think about you.
Yeah, we were talking about that before we hopped on here. Like the idea, and Matt said it too. The idea that someone's gonna see your post. It could be a house listing. It can be you saying whatever about real estate and hitting you up like, oh, like let me buy that, or I need a house right now. Like that's probably flawed thinking. Whereas it's very practical that it could help you is staying top of mind. They see Landon every single day. 100 days in a row, they might be like, God, Landon again, Landon with a house video. But that 101st day where their friends like, dang, I think I need to move. Oh, I know this Landon guy. Like then they send him your way. Like that is a very realistic example that could happen. And
yeah,
I think the obvious is if you're executing and taking advantage, capitalizing on all of these things we've talked about, that's how you kind of, I guess, push towards and do everything you can to be a top producer.
It's one thing I think about is like the sooner we can all think of our real estate businesses as a real business and not just me in the business. Like I think it's a totally normal thing where like, yeah, if someone you're in a relationship with buys a house from somebody else, like that is a gut punch and that sucks, and like that's gonna ruin your day for sure. But then if I zoom out and I say, well, is that because that's how I feel? Or if I was Apple and my friend didn't buy an iPhone for me, like would I even care? Like of course not, right? So I just think that helps too, of like seeing this as a true business and realizing like sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but you can't just purely like what if you opened a store and we're purely just relying on your friends and family coming in to like do the store? Well, no, like you need other people coming in to keep things going, right? So yeah, I think that's a big mistake agents make is like they think about their business in a too personal way.
Yep.
Rather than kind of thinking bigger picture.
Yeah, last point on this, and we're gonna kind of move on, but I think that's just huge in business in general, and I've heard you guys talk about it on other podcasts we've done, is like you got to take your emotions out of it, you got to manage expectations, and I think the thought of like, I always say this, I use this all the time, like business is business, and I'm someone that's pretty good at separating the two. Like if it's business, I don't care. Like literally, it's nothing personal. You're not gonna hurt my feelings. Like it might suck for the business, but I'm not gonna hold any kind of negativity. I don't have no room for that. Business it shouldn't be based on emotion, and too many times it is, and it really makes me mad, to be honest.
But that's an easy thing to say. It's real life,
sitting
here, but
for
like,
sure.
It does objectively
100%.
suck when it happens, right?
100%. I'm not saying, yeah, it's definitely easier said than done. Emotions are always going to be there, but if you can find, I think in business in general, whether it's real estate or anything, you most of the time will be more successful being able to manage those emotions and see clear when you're making business decisions.
It sucks. You can let it hurt for a minute when it happens, but it does not. It just can't change your consistency to the business, and it can't change. And it also can't change your perspective on your relationship with that person.
For sure.
Maybe they didn't give you the deal now, but I had someone text me recently where they worked with a different realtor to purchase the house. And they felt so bad when they finally told me the truth. And once I found out that they used somebody else, I was like, well, sorry I couldn't earn your business. If there was anything I could have done differently, let me know. I wanted to work with you really bad, but I hope you love the house, and I want to stay in connection with you over time, just in case there's something I can help you with in the future. And they said, they texted me back and said, we actually had a pretty bad experience with our realtor, and we will most likely move within the next 3 years.
Future client.
And so we will reach out to you then. And I said, okay, great. I'm going to keep you in my community where I can connect with you from time to time, make sure I can have a business later. So if you let it affect you then, if I would have just said, never responded to their message when they finally told me, sorry, we bought a house with somebody else, then would have been cut off from them. Or with a friend who used a different real estate agent because of a family member, like forcing them to do so or whatever, whatever the situation is, if I hold a grudge, if I let it affect my relationship with that person, if I let those emotions take over and now I'm sour, then lost a friend who it's just business, you know.
Yep.
I could lose a relationship over just business, just a little bit of money I could have made right now. 2, lose the opportunity to work for them or their friends in the future. I think this friend is going to refer me in the future more than they refer the agent they work with.
For sure.
Because we're in flow and we're connected, and they were just kind of forced to use this person because their family members helping them
and
with
a
the
lot
house.
of times you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah,
you were swayed
100%.
to use somebody else. That person did not deliver on what you were expecting. So then even though you lost the transaction in the short term, you still won the long-term loyalty because now they have a way to compare and they actually know you're better than most, right?
Yeah.
I've had a client use me to buy a house. Then when they went to sell the house 5 years later, meets with me immediately. I mean, they come back to me immediately because we're in flow. They've been to multiple events with me. I've taken them to Rockies games. They've come to my office for coffee. I've supported their business and given them referrals for years.
Yep.
They immediately come to me. What can I sell my house for? How can we get it done? How quickly can we get this done? They're in a position where they need to sell. Give them multiple different options and explain exactly how it needs to go. Market was not in as good of a place as they would have wanted it to be, but I was very honest and truthful and consistent with my business. They said they needed to think through some things, and I gave them multiple options, right? Well, then they come back and say their mom, one of them talks to the realtor or whatever, and they think they can sell it for more. They're promising them the moon and discounting their commission. And if you look up a realtor that's doing that, they're not doing very much business. And that was true in this case. House sat on market for 3 months. They finally sold it like $5,000 less than what I said we needed to list it for initially in the beginning. And they ended up paying for different repairs and doing all this stuff, and they dropped their price a ton from market. So it was a very painful process. He had to pay 3 extra months on his mortgage.
Yeah.
And it could have all been avoided, and I didn't lose touch. I just invited him to the next event. He came, and he's like, I'm so sorry. I would never do that again.
Yeah.
I'm going to send all my friends to you.
Yep.
You know, so.
Yeah, no, I think, again, that's the difference.
Yeah.
Our producer, you know what I mean? And that's like, along with everything we said, that's the hard work. That's that's the follow-up. That's building your sphere. That's branding. You know what I mean? That's all of it. Okay, look, transition, let's go. So let's talk about how your business has evolved, okay? Matt, obviously, look back on your earlier years in real estate as an agent. Landon, yours is going to be a little more recent. But Matt, start with me. In terms of when you first got started, maybe 5 years in, or I don't know how long you were more so a real estate agent, how did it evolve in terms of being a younger agent into like a more veteran role of real estate?
Yeah, I think again the way it evolved is just maturing it into a business and really adding all the things of what that means, right? So like adding leverage, like adding support, like doing things to where I think a big reason people get into real estate is for work-life balance.
Yep.
But then what I think is hilarious is what ends up happening is you get the exact opposite of that, because if you're a successful agent, you have no work-life balance. It's just you're always working. So what I found is like I almost did this pendulum where like I became a workaholic, and then I had to like find this place where like, okay, like my goals now are no longer about just the money and doing more deals. It's about like, how many deals do I need to do to live the life I want to live?
Yep.
And then all the excess goes to my family and my relationships, not back into work. And I think for me that was a really important turning point of just like no longer just only thinking about more, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I think that's a perfect, just from talking to you and kind of hearing what I've heard from your story is, you know, you get in early, you're young, you don't have the family, the kids, the wife, the responsibility, I guess, yet coming out of, you know, I guess college or wherever people after they turn 18 go, and you're looking to hustle, you're looking to put your time in, and I think money is a huge driver of that, and so it's all about money, and then, you know, the maturity kicks in when you're ready to, you know, start the family, you have, you know, a wife and kids, where the mindset does switch. You know, it's not just about you, it's not just about putting time, trading time for money, now you're trading time for experience and relationships and building memories for
Well, that's what greedy people lose sight of, right?
Yeah.
It's like money is not there for the sake of more money. Money buys you freedom and your time back, right? And if you can constantly keep that perspective of like, what's the point of having $1 billion if you've burned all your relationships and everybody hates you and you have no one to spend it with?
Correct.
Like the goal is to make enough to be comfortable and happy, and then again, like pour back into the things that matter.
For sure.
Yeah.
So Landon, you're not, I guess, as far into real estate as Matt. You're a little bit more in the middle, right? So you did do the grinding, and now you're transitioning, I think, more into like that family side. How has your 7 years in real estate, or whatever you said you've been in, evolved, would you say?
Yep. So mine has certainly changed since we started having children. It's so hard to be gone all the time when you have things at home that just make you want to be there more. So I have transitioned a lot in terms of how much time I spend away from the house. But the biggest transition has been the biggest change in the business has been from referrals, and how much more payoff you get when you get a referral versus buying a lead. Whether it's how enjoyable the transaction is, or also how much money you make from the transaction. Because if you pay for a lead, that's part of your cut that's gone. Sure. And if you don't pay for a lead, but you pay for it just out of your own work ethic and your events and your friendships and whatever. Your time. If you pay for it in your time and your how much you poured into that client, then the reward is greater, and normally the time that it takes to do the deal is lessened, and also the trust is greater as well. So they automatically trust you. It's a much better environment for a deal to happen, and there's just this kind of synergy going on. Like, my friend referred me to you, so I trust you because I trust them. And I want to work with you, and I'm not going to be pushing back against you at all times. I'm not thinking you're taking advantage of me. I know what you did for them, so I know what you're going to do for me. So it's just this awesome kind of connection that happens in a deal, and that's what's transitioned for me the most, is getting more referrals and just doing more things that generate referrals, and also finally getting some of the repeat sales. Because when you've been in it for 2 years, and even if you're doing a high amount of deals, you're not getting those repeat sales yet, because people don't sell home every 2 years. But every 4 to 8 years they do.
Yep.
And I'm right in that window of 6 to 7 years where a lot of people are evolving and moving and buying and upgrading. So I'm finally starting to see some of that turnaround. And I think now it'll just every year that should grow.
Yep.
As long as I stay consistent, that should grow.
Yeah, ideally, that's definitely the goal.
But my goal is not to make more money.
For sure.
My goal is not to make more money than I make right now.
For sure.
My goal is to consistently make the same amount of money so that I can have more time at home with the amount of work necessary lowering. If I can make the same amount of money that I made last year, if I can sell $20 to $30 million a year, do 30 to 40 transactions a year, I don't want that to increase. I'm not greedy. I want to provide for the family, but I also want to be able to spend time with that family. Sure. So it's important. It's important, but I'm not trying to double my production.
Well, and I think too, what it also takes is like as you could become more competent in any field, you have to be just extremely organized. And again, like realizing like things take as long as they take. So if you're going to be here for 8 hours working, whatever you're doing is going to take 8 hours. But if you say, hey, I want to spend time with family or whatever it may be, it always amazes me if I just sit down and put my head down and like eliminate the distractions, how much I can actually get done in an hour or two. And a lot of times I think things are going to take way longer than they really take. And then I get in there and I'm like, oh, I got that done in no time, right? Yeah. So one thing I've noticed just as I've had kids in the family and all that stuff is just like being more disciplined with where I put my time. So then when I am working, I'm focused. When I am with family, I'm focused. And it's not this like half in, half out where like when I'm supposed to be with the family, I'm actually working and my head's not there and that kind of thing. So
sure. Okay, cool. So let's wrap this up. Last question, last topic for you guys. Now we've built our brand, we follow up, we've done all the things. We're a top producing agent now, right? Now, how do you manage and prevent yourself from becoming overwhelmed or burnt out with this high demand pipeline? You got all this business coming in and it's just nonstop because you are a top producing agent now. How do you prevent yourself from just getting so overwhelmed that it's like you can't keep up, you don't like your work-life balance like you talked about? How do you prevent those things?
Well, you got to let go and recognize that like as long as it's just you, it's all on you, right? So there is no escape. Like either you're going to sacrifice business or you're going to sacrifice your time. So again, going back to thinking about it as a business, like that, like all real top producing agents have support staff on their team separate from their brokerage. They have people who are helping them with their business. So then they can take a day off and there's other things happening in the background. So I think that's really the key is like the agents that I really see that burn out resist getting help in their business because they want to either increase their profitability or get as much margin as possible. So they resist getting help, forgetting that like, again, you've transcended it. Like the goal is no longer about money. The goal is getting your time back.
Yeah, and I think all that falls in with the theme, right? It's the maturity. It's how have you evolved in the past, 7 to 10 years, whatever. It's, that's the point. Landon, go ahead. I'll let you answer as well.
Yeah. So my answer to this question starts with that the support staff is important. Transaction coordination is helpful.
Yep.
Having a way to get through a deal without you needing to micromanage every single piece of it and still have it go incredibly smooth is very important for your sanity when you have more than 3, 4 deals at once or something like that. What's also important to know about this industry is that real estate is not for the faint of heart. You're not going to be stress-free in this industry ever. You're always going to have it hang over you, and it's always going to be on your shoulders to make the income you need to support your family.
Yep.
If you are somebody who is worried about consistency or worried about just ever being in a spot where you're not going to make any money or being in a spot where you're making a ton of money, like if you're worried about that inconsistency or you're someone who's prone to stress and anxiety and you don't want to add that to your life, you shouldn't do this because you will be stressed out and you will have to learn how to manage stress effectively so you still treat people right.
Yeah, for sure.
and you just have to over time you'll start to learn that these really stressful situations that are stressful for you in the beginning are not stressful at all once you've been doing this a while and you have run into these issues so many times that it just is what it is. And you're not even worried about if this deal falls through or whatever. It's not your only deal. You have so many more in the pipeline. You have so much more to live for and to work for than just this one deal that it's not just the end of the world if it doesn't work out. As long as you've protected your client and they can get out of the deal if they need to. If it doesn't work out, you got to go after the next one. But yeah, like I said, you're going to be stressed out, but you can find ways to cope.
I remember what I was going to say. What I was going to say is, while people may still get into the industry, again, difference between becoming that top producer. If you start getting more business and that just increases your stress and anxiety to a level that you cannot perform, you cannot function, like that's the difference, right?
Yeah.
You can still.
People think of it, when I make this amount of money, I'll be problem free.
Yeah.
It'll fix all my problems. It's like, no, you just get a different set of problems once you get there.
Yeah.
So again, if the only goal was money's going to fix all my problems, you're about to be super disappointed once you have money, because
you're gonna have a lot of
problems. And then that's where the source of the burnout comes from. Is like, I didn't know this was going to happen.
Literally.
And it's like, no, you got to solve these problems, and
Yeah.
I also think a lot of people just they need some of that. They need to see what it's like to feel something
grind a
hard
little,
and
for
difficult, and the burnout. Like, you can get that in any job. You can get that doing anything. So
I think it goes back to what I said though about like
get comfortable with that.
Well, that's what I love about real estate that really like ties into just real life in general is like, again, it's the ability to problem solve at a high level and not interpret these problems as a stressful end of the world scenario, but just the thing that needs to be overcome today. I think that's a good like mindset to have, because I know a lot of people who like want to go through their life problem free. So then when problems occur, they're just all these like really terrible outcomes, when it's like, or we could just fix it.
Yeah.
Right?
One more thing about stress in this job and whatever, you can also, it really helps to have a good support system. And it really helps when people know what you're going through. So there's going to be time periods in your business, if you're trying to become a top producer in this industry, there's going to be times where you can't get around all these issues that you just have to go through, all these obstacles that you have to go through. If I tell my wife what I'm dealing with, if I let her know that there's a lot of hard things that I'm navigating right now, and I really have to focus more of my attention there, and I have less that I can give to you and to the kids just for a short time, not because I don't want to give it to you, but because I just have to get through these obstacles so that we can continue to thrive. Like, if you let your support system know, which for me is my wife, then it's way better than if you just let the stress overcome you, and then you blow up, or you don't treat them right, and you don't tell them why, and you just bottle it all up. Especially as a man in the industry, or a man in general, we like to bottle things up.
For sure.
So tell your support system.
You gotta be the supporter.
Yeah, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your wife or husband or whatever. Just tell them what you're dealing with, so that they can support you and help give you that time you need to just buckle your straps and just go through, get the deals done.
Yep. Shout out real estate wives.
Yeah, real estate
Shout
wives.
out significant others in real estate.
You're very needed.
Awesome. Well, guys, I think this is a wrap. I appreciate you guys being on.
I appreciate me being on too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, same.
Nice to meet me.
You'll be back. Don't worry. Awesome. Is there anything else you guys have to say? Any other knowledge you want to talk about?
It's Crunch Wrap Thursday.
Crunch Wrap Thursday.
I'm gonna get a Crunch Wrap.
Awesome.
Nice.
All right, guys. Well, I'll get you out of here. I guess you guys got real estate to go do, I guess.
Crunch Wrap.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, like and subscribe. We'll catch you guys in episode 2.
Should have said like and subscribe. We'll catch you on the flip side. Dude, that would have been good.
We don't say that. We will never say that.